Okay, it looks like it's about to start to rain absolutely any minute now. Oh, I think it started to rain. Oh my god, okay, it's like proper storm. This came in like 5 minutes. When I just set up, it was sunny and super nice, and now there's like a thunderstorm coming. Okay, I don't think I can sit out here. Welcome to the Finnish summer. Hello and welcome to my channel. So after that little catastrophic intro, I'm so glad that you're here. Today we are gonna dive into or take a look at my top 10 photos, the best photos or my favorite photos. Maybe they're not the best, but my favorite photos. So counting down from 10 to number 1. And with each photo, I'm gonna share a lesson that I've learned or something that I think is important in creative photography when you take photos, and hopefully there's gonna be some tips no matter at what stage in your photography you are. So a lot of these lessons are things that might seem kind of obvious, but it's all in the details, and I think these little things that is really what makes and sets a photography apart. There was just lightning. Could you see that? Whoa. There is something about a storm I do love. Without further ado, let's jump right into photo number 10. Oh, now there's... Oh, that rumble. Well, this is actually good because I always forget to give water to the plants, so they're happy. Thank you, Zyro, for sponsoring today's video. All right, at number 10, we have a real old goodie. This one is one of my first photos where I stuck flowers in weird places. And in this one, I really appreciated and learned the power of textures and using textures in your photography. So even though the composition, and this is shot from above, I believe it was shot actually with just a phone camera. And there isn't that much happening in the photo, but it's all these small textures and details that really make it pop. So you have those little flowers, the dried flowers, they're coming up from the angle. I have them in my sleeves. And as you can see, if you really zoom in on the details here, there are some of these little flowers like sprinkled around, and those really bring the whole thing to life. And then I also have the book, these kind of old book pages, and even the wooden texture. The table also has a lot of texture. So, and then, yeah, of course, the knitted cardigan. So all these things, if you would replace these things with something with less texture, so just like a blank white surface, maybe some boring, not knitted texture, and maybe some flowers that didn't or weren't so rich, this would be a completely different photo. So all these small details and adding texture to your photo to make the story come alive is so important, and something I use in my photos time and time again. Oh wow, it's really coming down outside. Oh, but very cozy, even though this is kind of messing with the artistic vibe I was going for this video, but you have to just roll with it. All right, moving on to number 9. This is a photo I took in London, out in Hampstead Heath, and for this one, the lesson learned is really the wow factor. So when you take a photo, how are you gonna bring the wow factor in there? And one way I do that, and a really easy one to implement in your photography, is to multiply something. So here I've used these petals or from a flowers, and they look like a butterfly, and then I've just multiplied them and created these, or this scene of these butterflies flying. And I think it's a pretty wow and kind of stopping photo, exactly because of that feeling of there's a lot of going on, a lot of richness, a lot of movement, and that multiplication. So if there would only be one butterfly, it would be very different. And I'm not saying that, I mean, of course, that could be a wow in a different way. But here, because it's like a big scene and you also have that sense of depth, and then I'm standing there looking into the distance and trying to look very calm and serene. And also you have that little wind going in the skirt. So I really like this. I also really like the blue color and the kind of blue hues of the whole thing. But yeah, getting that wow factor into your photos, one of the lessons that I've learned definitely, and always try to bring that wow factor, and multiplying something, that works. That just works. Moving on to number 8. It's this photo where, again, cramming flowers in weird places. And here the lesson learned, it's really to use subtle leading lines. So you can see here in the background, there is that leading line of this wall that I placed myself next to, or that it's in the background. And that together with the tree on the right side there, that really guides the view. So the willies and the flowers really become the main point of the whole photo. And I think that subtle leading line and using that is really what makes this photo, even though, yeah, of course, the color coordination of the flowers, the boots and the flowers that I'm holding in my hand, and these really kind of nice warm textures, and again, a lot of texture. But those kind of small things can really make or break it, and you can really affect how the viewer is viewing the photo. Of somebody who sees this for the first time, where is their attention gonna go? So using these kind of subtle leading lines when you look at architecture or when you look at locations, so how you can use those that are already naturally there, that's a super powerful tool and something you definitely don't want to miss. Aha! Next up, we have creating some foreground blur. And this is great because this allows you to create more depth in your photo. So for this photo, it's pretty flat because I am painting this thing on the wall. And the wall is very flat to very two-dimensional. Doesn't look super great in a photo, to be honest. So what I've done then is I placed this little foliage here, or this plant here, in the left corner, and that is much closer to the camera. So when I took this photo, that was closer, so it created some blur, and it kind of frames the whole picture quite nicely. And then I have myself sort of there in the middle ground, and then you have like the background, this big painting, the big wall. But you can see how these small things, when you just place your objects with different distances from the camera, you can create that foreground, middle ground, and background to create more sense of depth. And then I think as a viewer, you get the sense of like, oh, there is really something that pulls you into the photo. Moving on. Let's see, number 6 we are at now. Number 6, oh yeah, this is, well, maybe the holy grail of photography. Light, and more specifically placing your main subject in the light. So when you're taking a photo, or you see a pretty scene, or when you're just working with natural light, be super mindful about what the light is actually hitting. So here, I think this is a very good example of this, because I very strategically moved just like slightly from side to side to make my face or then the flowers be in the sunlight. So when you see this photo, that's where your gaze goes first, because that's the area that is most in light. And these kind of small things really can make a photo go from to wow, and it really captures your attention. And yeah, I just think this is a super clear example of that. And when I was taking this photo, it was literally me looking here at my monitor and seeing what my camera sees and going like, am I in the light? Am I in the light? So you might have to be very patient to get it exactly in the light. But again, I think a super good trick to use when you're taking your photos. If you have some photos, yes, you might stand on a balcony and try to share your photos, or go out into the world and try to find people to share and show your photos to, but much better is to create a website. Thank you so much, Zyro, for sponsoring today's video, which happens to be an online website builder. You can also build your store. The reason I really like Zyro is because they have tons of super pretty templates that you can use so you can get started, so you don't have to have that start from scratch and like, oh, so many design choices to make. They're all designer made, these templates, and you can get started for as little as $2.61 per month, which is super great if you're just starting out. $61 cents per month, and you can head to the link in the description below and use the code Kutovakika for an additional 10% off, so you can show your photos to the world. Or if you're looking to build a shop online, Zyro has everything you need for that. They have 24/7 customer support with real humans, not bots. And you can customize your website or shop however you want. It's just drag and drop and super intuitive and easy to use. You don't need any coding skills and no previous experience. The whole interface is so easy to understand and for anybody to get started. So make sure that you click the link in the description below if this is something you're looking to do, and use the code Kutovakika to get 10% off. Oh, this is going so fast, I feel. We're already at number 5. Which one is it? Which one is it? Oh yeah, it's this one. One of my absolute favorite photos. This one, one of my all-time favorite series, putting flowers in my boots. And this is a photo I took in London, and I remember I was so grumpy this day. I was so grumpy. And for some reason feeling very frustrated about life and everything. But then I had these flowers at home. I was wearing this dress. It was a really warm day. We had a lot of lemons at home for some reason. And I remember seeing this color combination just when I got home with like the groceries and stuff, and thinking like, wow, like this is a really nice color combination. And even though I felt kind of grumpy, uninspired, I thought like, I'll just, run downstairs. And this photo is taken literally outside of where I lived in London back then. So I just put my tripod, my camera on a tripod from a really low angle, stuffed the flowers in my boots and took these pictures. And I think they turned out so nice. And why did they turn out so nice? Well, I think, the posing, I think has something to do with it. So there is kind of a strong story in these different poses. But I think it's that color combination. It's a little bit unexpected. It somehow really works. And they also, when I edited the photo, turned up the blue. So you can see it quite kind of has a greenish, bluish hue to it. And I think that evokes also more emotion in it. Never underestimate the power of a good color combination. And when you suddenly see something at home, I mean, this happens to me constantly, all the time, when I'm just walking around the house or at home and suddenly I see something and there's like a flower or a book or a dress, and suddenly it's like, ooh, like this is a nice color combination. So then make a note of that, and maybe you can use that in your photography, all these little props and colors. What do we have at number 4? This one. Oh yeah, this one is actually from, I just went in and checked on my Instagram, in my insights, the most liked, or the photos that I got in the most reach in the last 2 years. And this one is at the top there. And for this one, I chose sort of the lesson learned. I think this is maybe more of an artistic choice or matter of taste, which I really like, which is symmetry. I use symmetry a lot in my photos, and this is, as I said, kind of an artistic choice. It's not something I think that is necessary for a good photo, but I personally quite like that. I'm a huge fan of, Wes Anderson, and just like having that, that symmetry, and where things are really, like if they're in the middle, I like them to be really in the middle. And here you can really see that example. So I've stacked these sweaters on top of each other. They're very symmetrical, and then I'm holding this garland, and also like making sure that I hold it really so it's very symmetrical. And another little tip actually in this photo, I think, is I'm not showing my face, so I'm not showing everything. So immediately, again, I think as a viewer, if I see this, I get curious about it, because you can't see my face, even though you see there's like clearly a human being behind this photo, but you can't see everything. So there is like a secret going on here. Oh, okay, we are coming down to the top 3 ones. I have to say, it was really difficult to choose these photos, and I don't know if they're my like all-time favorite, but at the moment at least. So, just continuing. So number 3 is an intimate point of view, I'm calling this. So with taking photos, your most powerful tool maybe is really how you place the angle and how you choose to compose and frame that photo. And I really like this photo because it gives you the point of view from the actual person, which is, well, in this case, it's me. But then I've also chosen to show, you can see my feet there, you see some of the ground, so there's also a lot of context. So you're creating this scene and this story, which immediately you can imagine yourself sitting there next to me or holding this little cup. So this would be very different, and I actually have a different photo from the same day where I'm just holding the cup in front of me, and immediately you get a very different sense and relationship to this person holding the cup. So I just like this, and using this angle where you make it more intimate and you actually shoot the photo from your point of view. Oh, okay. Number two. Okay, are you ready? This one is one of my all-time favorites, definitely. I think this photo, I think it's just like fun, a little bit quirky, a little bit weird, but then at the same time, I really like the color palette and it's kind of warm. And in this one, the lesson I learned, or the thing I sort of realized, is really how you can create suspense with very small details. So, for example, my facial expression, you can see that there's like something going on. Like, I'm not completely happy, but at the same time, it's not like super serious. And also this whole suspense with the book on my head. So you're a little bit like, you know, like, oh, is that gonna fall? And then there are all these stacks of books. So that's also creating a little bit suspense. So you have all these elements that you can play with and how they're in relation to each other. And also that I put myself next to or in the middle of these books. So that's also creating some kind of interesting suspense and relationships here. Plus bonus tips. It's not maybe super obvious that what I'm trying to do is be a house, but as you can see here in the background, there's these two posters of houses, and these little details are clues for the viewer. So when you see this for the first time, maybe you're going like, what's going on here? But because you have that subconscious clue of, there's something to do with houses on those posters, you immediately make the association to, houses, and then at least I hope it makes it easier for the viewer to understand what the story I'm going for here. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Okay, are you ready for it? Number one, and it's not even raining anymore. Number one is this photo. This is my favorite photo from last year, and I really like it, and this really reaffirmed my believe in strong shape. So this is a very strong shape that I really used to my advantage in this photo. And then, yeah, added some unexpected element with these little cutouts. This photo was again one that I hadn't actually really even planned. It was very much sort of a spur of the moment photo where I had this leaf. I thought it was super pretty, just held it up against the sea or the horizon, and thought the colors just were super gorgeous. And just like that shape of those leaves, like I've used it time and time again in my photos, but I just love that shape and the textures and the richness of it. It's so gorgeous. A tip here, when you're gonna use something with a very strong shape, now to really make use of that, be really mindful what is in the background. So as you can see, I'm holding the leaf in such a way where it's almost entirely covered by the sky in the background. If that would have been any lower down, you can see how that horizon or this grass would have been behind that leaf, and you wouldn't get this strong shape in the same way. And similarly, when you're gonna place people through a horizon, I have an example here, be really mindful with how the elements in the background are in relation to the ones that are in the foreground or your subject. So here, again, you can see like my head is above the horizon and would look very different and give a very different mood if my head was sort of like in the middle or behind. So, and that's all in how you place your camera and the angle you get and how you frame it. Now it almost stopped raining. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and watching this video. I hope you got some tips and some insights from these photos. I once made a video with failed photos and lessons learned, so I thought I should make a video also with the photos that were a success and some lessons learned from them. So that's sort of where the idea for this video came. I hope you are doing well, taking photos, feeling or trying to still stay inspired, even though I know we're all probably feeling a little bit tired after this tough year, but hang in there. At least summer is coming here in the Northern Hemisphere, so that's nice. All right, I will see you next week. Take care, guys. Bye!
Hello, a bee in my bonnet, hello. There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello. A bee in my bonnet, hello.